No way.
Oh my god.
Headshots. Fucking headshots, bro.
I hate this game.
What on the other side?
What's happening, boys? Been a minute. Hope everybody's doing good. It's time to get back on track with this whole thing. So, first of all, for those just tuning in, we've been off a couple weeks. We've had some scheduling conflicts that we've had to work out, and we couldn't shoot for the last 2 weeks. So, if you're looking for a new episode, those minimal followers that we have at the moment, that's the reason why we don't have anything new. But Monday, yeah, we'll be back on track, and then hopefully next week will be good. But so it's been a minute. There's been a lot going on, some things we can talk about. I don't know if you guys have been following anything in the gaming world, but I'm going to hit you guys with some crazy shit, right? Everybody knows about the Dr. Disrespect situation, right? That happened a couple months ago. The whole, like, I don't even really know, right? It was like somebody said he was talking to minors. Somebody said he was sending pictures back and forth, blah, 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 right? Like, and then it comes out like, oh, no, he wasn't doing that, or yes, he was, or who the fuck knows, right? Like, but, you know, since we're a gaming channel and a veterans channel, we're going to talk about some gaming stuff today, which is this. This situation is kind of crazy. A couple days ago, Dr. Disrespect finally, like, not really came out of hiding because he's been out of hiding, I guess, for a while. He's been streaming again. He got monetization back on YouTube, which is kind of crazy, right? And then the whole, what's that other? Rumble, yeah. So the big Rumble deal that he signed or whatever, right? So, you know, he's...
I don't even know what that is.
Shout out Rumble. I'm still waiting on my MO.
Yeah, I haven't used Rumble before either, but I guess it's like another streaming thing, right?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, so he got a big contract with them now. So, you know, he's kind of back on top of his game or whatever, but he's playing with different people, if you haven't noticed.
Oh, yeah.
And so a couple of days ago, he was on stream, and he addressed the whole situation about, like, you know, all the bullshit about the whole, like, minor situation and yada, yada, yada. So basically what I want to talk about is what he did. So if you watched him for a long time, you know, he streamed with Tim the Tatman, he streamed with Nickmercs, he streamed with Z-Laner, like, religiously, right?
Yeah.
Like, these are like the main guys that he streamed with. Well, he came and he pretty much called them out and told them that they were all fake, and it was kind of like, you know,
He called them pussies.
Yeah, he called them pussies. You guys are on some bullshit, blah, 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 right? And I didn't look at everybody's response, but I think by now everybody's responded. I don't think Tim responded, but I saw Z-Laner.
As of right now,
Z-Laner had posted. Yeah, Z-Laner had posted something. I hadn't watched it yet, but I did watch Nickmercs' response, and Nick kind of shot back and said, you know, like, what you were doing is, like, weird, bro. Like, if that's what you did, then own up to it. You know what I mean? And he's like, Nick said that as a friend, you put us in an awkward situation, which, okay, that's fair, right? So we were kind of talking about it, and I'll shoot it to Daniel only because me and Daniel were kind of talking before we started the podcast a little bit, so we can just kind of pick up where we were talking about. Let's talk about us as a friend group, right? Like, we're all boys, we're all buddies. We don't always all stream, but we try to stream whenever we can. We do this together. So if any of us was caught up in the social media bullshit, and, you know, same situation, right? Somebody's accusing one of us of something illegal or not right, or, you know, questionable or whatever. Like, how would you react? Because I know how I would react in the Dr. Disrespect situation, right? Like, if that was my boy, like, if it was one of you guys, right? So, Danny, how would you react, man, if let's just say, like, you saw some shit on the news that said I was, you know, sending pictures back and forth with some minor, right, whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, I gotta see both sides, man. So I definitely come and try to find you and try to find an answer, because not by just listening to the media, I mean, that and the news, that shouldn't be, you know, we're buds, we're dudes. Like, it shouldn't be like that. We should be talking to each other and seeing, yo, did this really happen? Yo, this sounds crazy. Let me hear your side of the story, right? And I mean, that's what I expect from Jose or Brian. Like, yo, did you do this? Like,
Yeah.
right? Don't just ghost me and then make a video saying, yo, this is crazy. I can't do anything with him or whatever. Like, yeah, I you know, I see that. I see that. Like, I understand that, but I still think you should reach out to me and hear me out, right?
Yeah.
I agree. I think you made a good point, right? Like I think in that friend group of those guys, right?
Yeah.
I think a couple of people jumped the gun in a sense, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah. Like day of.
Yeah, like immediately, like within a couple hours, you know, this shit came out about this, you know, allegedly Dr. Disrespected did this, and then it was like, boom, Nickmercs was like, yo, I can't associate with this guy. Like, you know, if he did, it's kind of fucked up. Tim was like, yo, if this is true, you know, and Tim kind of took the high road, right? And said like, look, if it's true, then I can't mess with the doc no more. But if it's not true, then we'll figure it out from there. And then he never really said anything else about it, right? Z-Laner got on and was like, he took a little while. I think he kind of like tried to evaluate the situation, but I don't think he personally went about it the right way, like you said, right? Like, I don't think any of those guys, from what I'm hearing and what we're all seeing, is nobody picked up the fucking phone on a personal level and said, Daniel, what the fuck is going on, bro? There's some shit in the media about you and sending pictures back and forth with it. Like, you need to fucking tell me what's up. Like, everybody get on a fucking phone call. Like, yo, let's find out what's going on. Like, and then, you know, like, because you could break that situation down and say, yeah, dude, I saw that shit too, and it's crazy, and I don't really know how to, like, I didn't do nothing, but here's the situation, right? It was this and this and this, and then it got flipped and turned around, and this person's now trying to like expose me for money and blah 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 blah. Because we don't know, right? Because none of those details have been released as far as like what's going on behind the scenes, right? It does it look fishy from this side? Sometimes it does. You know, Doc's side looks kind of fishy, like just because it was like, you know, it was a whole thing, and then here we are weeks later, months, a couple of months later, and it's like, oh no, now he's all good, like there's nothing going on, and then like they settled out of court or like, you know, shit like that or whatever. Like it didn't get publicized as to what actually happened from that. But,
and I was trying to get unbanned from Twitch because of the new rules that Twitch did and whatever.
Yeah, I saw that too. And then they're trying to get the unban or whatever. Like I get at the end of the day, it's about money, right? Because these guys, this is how they make their living. Like we don't make a living off of this. Obviously, this is all for fun and our friend group thing. But I don't know, man. It's kind of wild. Like just to think if you're stuck in that situation, because you know people do a lot of shady shit online. Like people can hack into your computers and find different things and Photoshop shit and say, yeah, this is legit. Like this is me and him and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, it's so believable in some sense because you can just create so much fake shit. You know what I mean?
Or like how Dr. Disrespect had said, like months back, he's like, yeah, they released pictures, but they were like cherry picking and putting those stuff together to make it seem like something that it wasn't. So,
Right. And then, you know, and then like, I kind of agree with Doc on that one part where he's, you know, I'm not calling him a pussy or whatever, but where he's like, none of these guys picked up the fucking phone and called me and had enough balls to just have a conversation with me and say, hey, what the fuck's going on? Right. And so like, you know, I agree with that, but then I also agree with, you know, the other guys in some points. So it's kind of a crazy situation, man.
Trying to protect their own reputation.
Yeah. And I think,
but the thing is with reputation though, right? Like if you would have come to me, like if I'm Dr. Disrespect, right? And Donnie's Tim the Tatman or Nickmercs, right? I'm gonna tell you, look, I know you want to protect your reputation, right? But I don't know what's going on, right? And I think something like that, we could have, or you know, we could have done a video or some shit, you know?
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that's the trouble with all this type of world that we're kind of living in, right? Is like Brian said, you're trying to protect your reputation because it's about money at the end of the day, right? And it's kind of shitty, but the reality of it is, this is what I'm going to tell you, and this is just my own personal opinion. It's different from us because we are actually friends. We are all real friends. We didn't. I mean, we met online, but we made efforts to become friends outside of just meeting on a video game, right?
For sure.
I don't know that those guys have ever met to hang out as friends outside of gaming, right?
Yeah.
Like they went to like COD Next a couple years ago and then they shot some stuff together. But every time you see them together, like in person and not like on stream, You know what I mean? It's at some type of gaming event. So it's like, are these guys really friends? You know, so it's like, where do you draw the line as far as like how close somebody really is and how close somebody, you know, isn't? You know, it's all a facade online, unfortunately. And, you know, it creates media, it creates fucking revenue. People start clicking on videos on YouTube just because they're bickering back and forth. And guess what? We're here talking about it, right? We're gonna, if we go back and we watch some of their videos and go look at responses, they're just making more money every time we hit the fucking mouse click button.
They are, yep.
So is it real? Is it fake? You know what I mean? That's the kind of shit that you just don't know about. So it's kind of wild, man. But yeah, that was kind of like what I wanted to talk about, just because I just think a normal friend group doesn't handle that situation the way that it got handled by any means. Like me, for instance, if that was me, first of all, I'm not streaming or putting on anything until I get to the bottom of everything. I might come on and say, look, I'm not going to be streaming for a while. If you haven't heard, my buddy fucking drllze is under investigation on some crazy shit, and we're trying to figure it out. And I'm not going to say anything until I know all the facts, because that's my boy and I got his back, and I don't need to worry about this shit right now. So if you don't hear from me, too fucking bad. I'll be back one day, right? Like until my boy gets back on top, whatever. And then, you know, like I said, like I was telling Daniel, if that happens to one of you guys and you guys are like, look, I fucked up, you know what I mean? I didn't know that this, whatever the situation may be, right? I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna still have your back because we're boys, right? That's what boys are supposed to do, right? I'm gonna have your back through the thick and thin. We may have a conversation about some dumb shit that you did, right? Like if you fucked up and did some dumb shit, like, hey, bro, like, okay,
we'll talk about that shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is it. We go, like, we chop it right here and then we fucking move forward. But don't let this shit happen again or we're done. You know what I'm saying? Because from a perspective of, you know, I have a 16-year-old daughter, you know what I'm saying? And that's about the age that this girl supposedly was, right? And if I find out that one of my buddies or somebody is fucking talking to her like inappropriately, like, I'm gonna go handle that shit man to man. Like, I'm gonna drive to your fucking house and we're gonna hash that shit out. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna throw blows right away, but I'm be like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. You know, that's just my opinion on it. I don't know what you guys think, but I know what Daniel thinks.
No, I think I agree, man. Because even like myself now, I'm at a big hole. He said, she said shit. Because I mean, shit gets lost in translation.
Absolutely.
I can tell you this balloon is blue, and then by the time it gets to Daniel, it somehow becomes purple.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So, it's like that game you used to play in elementary school, the telephone game.
Yeah, exactly. So so I get what Dr. Disrespect is saying. Like none of the guys called me. Like, and even like if it was us and we're in this situation and people are responding to me saying, hey, what's going on with Doc, blah blah blah, or hey, what's going on with Donnie, this whole thing, and I'd be like, hey, I see y'all's comment. I'm not gonna respond to that. I'm gonna continue streaming. If y'all ask me that, I'm just gonna ignore it because it's none of my business right now. We're hashing it out. We're trying to figure out what is going on, if it's true, if it's not true. If it is true, then hey, we'll figure out. I'll finally comment on that. If it's not true, I'm still gonna comment saying, hey, that whole thing is BS. We'll leave it at that, and that's it. You're here to watch CruzNate, not talk to me about Donnie's drama that happened or whatever.
Right.
If you want to talk about that, go to his stream and ask him. So,
yeah, I agree. I think it kind of made it harder though, like on himself. Doc kind of made it harder on himself because as soon as that stuff came out, like he got cut from YouTube, right? But he was still streaming on other things. Like he was still streaming on Kick, and then until the Twitch ban happened, like he was still streaming, right? And it kind of like bombarded him. You know what I mean? Like, because what else are you gonna do, right? If you're a champ, right? Because he calls his followers champs, right? If you're a Dr. Disrespect champ, right? Like you're gonna want to know. Everybody's gonna want to know, right? Like somebody follows any one of us or is a part of, like, you know, even this, like our veterans talk thing. Like people are gonna ask questions if they hear stuff, right? So it's like, I don't know how you handle it, right? Like you could try to be bigger about it and then just continue pushing on, right? But at some point, you're going to get flooded with just everything.
Yeah. I mean, I agree for sure.
Want to know, you know, and I think, I'll be honest with you, that's a big reason why I don't have a lot of social media, right? I have an Instagram. I used to have a Facebook and Instagram, and that's really it. Like, I don't post my family very much, hardly ever. If you ever looked at my Facebook, like, the only time I would do something was like a birthday. And that was mainly for relatives that, like, because I'm Filipino, right? And half of my family's in the Philippines, and they have Facebook, and that's one of the ways to communicate between us and them. Like they can see kind of things like that. But I'm not like, oh, I woke up today and my son had bad hair day and blah 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 blah, or my daughter fucking stubbed her toe type shit. You know what I mean? Like
that was
like,
your daily thing.
Yeah, dude. Like, bro, people who live their life on social media is like, it's crazy. Like, it's so much effort. Like, you're already doing life, right? And now you're trying to record what you're doing in life and then turn around and post it. You know what I mean? And then they make silly ass videos about it, like, with fucking cuts and edits and all this other bullshit. And then, like, really all you're doing is just like, you're just like flaunting how boring your day is, but people are so into it. You know what I mean? It's so dumb, man.
That's just the new way now, man. Everybody wants to live off of people's drama.
Vicariously.
Yeah, bro. It's wild, man. Cause like, dude, like I was surprised. I was sitting outside working on the truck the other day because it finally got warm. And there was like a group of kids and they were walking in the ditch. So outside my house, there's a drain ditch that goes out to the lake, right, from when it rains. And it's a big ditch, but it's always dry. So you can get to the other side of the street, no problem, right? For the first time since I lived here, it's been a little over 2 years, in this house. I saw a bunch of kids like outside playing for once. But the funny part was, it's like they didn't know what to do. They're like, what are we doing? We're just walking around, like hanging out, like, bro. And that's another thing, right? And that's a lead into another thing, right? Like, there's no, like, there was a plethora of playgrounds in the 90s and the early 2000s, even still in the early 2000s, right? Like, but in the 90s, bro, it was a playground on every fucking block, bro. Every block.
With them hot ass slides.
Swing sets made out of chain link and fucking tires, like rubber tire seats, bro. And they were 10 feet in the air. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers were doing backflips off of them shits. There were metal merry-go-rounds with lead paint and shit like that. Motherfuckers were hanging on and trying to go as fast and swing and fly off. You know what I mean? Like, bro, you had dirty sandboxes with probably fucking, who knows, rusty needles from crackheads and shit, the fucking, I don't know.
The slides, the metal slides that would get fucking hot as hell in the summer.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, made out of fucking straight steel. Like, what? Whose fucking idea was that, bro? Like, let's just put this thing in the hot sun, let it sit all day, no cover, and fucking melt people's skin off and shit. And none of us ever slid down that motherfucker. We always ran up that bitch. Like, no, you never even
knew better. We knew better.
Yeah, you never even used it to see if you could get up faster. You know what I mean? Like, and that was the thing, right? That's probably why they got rid of them, because nobody used them correctly. Like, we always did dumb shit. So, but yeah, man, it's wild, man, just to think of the difference. But it's the same thing. Like, social media, that was non-existent. Like, I think the first social media I ever had was fucking, what was that shit? MySpace. Yeah, MySpace, bro. And like, you would put so much effort into MySpace, like creating your little fucking music intro for your fucking banner and shit, and then
friends.
Yeah, and it literally looked like a dating profile. Like, that's what it looked like. Like, it'd be like your profile picture, and then like it'd have a little bit about you, and then scroll down, and like it wasn't like it's not the same as Facebook. You know what I mean? But like,
learn how to code.
Yeah, like all that kind of shit. That's really what it was, right? Like,
learn how to code.
Break down the code, put this in there, and you can have this song play on your fucking shit. Just like trying to make voicemails, bro. I saw a video the other day of like a throwback 90s commercial, and homeboy was on his phone and he had the
speaker.
Like to the speaker, and there was a music video playing, and he was like, "Hey girl, I'm sorry I couldn't come to the phone right now, but your name and number, I'll get back to you." And I was
he turns the volume back up.
Yeah, I used to do that shit all the time, bro. That shit was funny, man. Funny, bro. It's wild, man. But yeah, man. I don't know. I think that the torment of social media is what's killing this whole situation between all that, right? It's just like everybody is throwing their opinions in there, and they're asking all these questions, and then it's like, what can you say? What can you not say? You make the whole situation worse, whatever. And then, there's probably people like Nick Stream, right? They're like, "Oh, yo, Doc fucking said this about you," and blah, 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 blah. Like, what are you going to say? And, people egg on the situation, and they're just like, "I'm going to say something." You know why? Because you're just going to keep clicking on this shit. I'm going to keep getting paid. That's a fucking nickel every time you click on this shit or whatever, right? Like, it's just wild, bro. Wild.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I figured that would be something to talk about. That's crazy, like what's going on. We'll have to see how it develops. Like, I'm gonna have to go back and look at the Z-Laner video response and see what he
So
said. But
from what I remember, Zlander, like, if somebody asked him, like, "Hey, are you going to apologize?" Because that's what Doc said. It's like they owe me an apology because they didn't take this the right way. And Zlander was like, "Hey, brother, it's like I don't know anybody an apology. It's like, if anything, you need to show proof. Like, I'll apologize when he shows proof saying, "Hey, I didn't do this," or whatnot. It's like once he shows proof, then hey, I am more than happy to apologize for whatever.
yeah, that's
They
fair.
they don't believe in that innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but
the
that's a fair
opposite
point.
way.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But that's a fair point, right? Because it's almost like the situation just kind of went away, right? Like
Yeah.
there was really nothing, like the messages never got released of like what was actually said, right? Which everybody was asking about when it first came out. Like, oh, what did they say? What did they actually like text back and forth or whatever? Like none of that actually came out to the public. It all went away. So I agree with that part too. But it's like we said, right? Like they need to shut the cameras off. Just shut the cameras off. Get on a fucking phone call and be like, this is what happened. This is what's going on or whatever. And then make a decision from there. You know what I mean? Because us as a public forum, right? As just like normal people, like, you know, we view that whole situation as like, well, that's a big fucking deal, right? Like, but it's really not. I mean, it's just a couple of guys who play video games that are beefing over fucking social media.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the public hypes it up, obviously, but I mean, it is gaming news, you know, and people like some of the other channels, like the gaming news channels, are reporting on it, and you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's all because they're big names. So
yeah, and that's right, exactly. That's the thing, right? I mean, Doc's got 1 million followers still. You know what I mean? After all that, like.
He still has thousands of people watching him fucking live.
Yeah, every day, bro. Like he was just on stream the other day. I think 72,000 people watched his response to Nickmercs and D Lupa and fucking Z-Laner and all that shit. Like,
he was streaming this. He was streaming today. He was at 11,000 when I was watching.
Yeah, bro. Like it's crazy. Like, what? First of all, why do those 11,000 people not have fucking jobs? Okay, like what? Like.
Dude. Why can't they come watch me? Goddamn it!
Okay, like I don't. I work for myself. Okay, so it's a little different. But I used to work, right? And I used to pay taxes, and my taxes used to fucking pay those people's paychecks. Like, get your fucking ass to work. There should not be 11,000 people at 11 o'clock in the morning watching fucking Dr. Disrespect's fucking
playing
stream.
golf.
Yeah, bro. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, come on,
playing Wordle,
bro. Really? Like, come on, man. This shit's crazy.
I just looked up on YouTube real quick his video of him responding, or Nickmercs' response to Dr. Disrespect, calling him fake and phony. It's got 25,000 views.
Bro.
Yeah. And then his next one, 2 days ago, 16,000 views, saying he wants to knock out Nickmercs.
Bro, crazy, I mean, imagine it goes back and forth like this, and then all of a sudden we have this streamer celebrity fight.
Match, right?
Like a boxing match, like old, like, you know, like like Logan Paul type shit where he calls out somebody. Fucking and then they just make billions off of that because people are gonna watch that.
Everybody would watch that.
Dude, everybody. Doc is fucking 6'7", dude. Nickmercs is 5'3", bro. He's gonna knock his fucking silly ass out just because he's that much taller than him. I'm like, Nickmercs is my boy. Dr. Disrespect, my boy, right? I got respect for both of them for what they do, whatever. But like, if you stack the odds on paper, I'm sorry, Doc's probably gonna knock you out just because he's got an 8-foot reach advantage on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the dude is fucking crazy tall, like insanely tall, and Nickmercs is short and stocky. Like, what are you gonna grapple him to the ground? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. That would be wild though. There'd be some shit to see, right? Like, we should hype that up. Like, everybody jump on their videos and be like, "Yo, you and Doc should do a celebrity fucking fight. See what happens." I'm gonna do it, bro. I'm gonna get on there tomorrow. I'm gonna comment that shit.
I'm down with that shit. Make it at Vegas. Let's fly to Vegas. Boys trip.
That's where it would be at. That's where it would be. It would be in Vegas, like at the MGM fucking Grand, bro. Like on some dumb shit, right? Like sponsored by Call of Duty and Activision, like, right?
You watch it live on Cake.
Season 3 release. Dr. Disrespect fights Nickmercs 20 minutes before the fucking announcement video. Like, what? No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know, man. It's kind of wild, but yeah, I agree with everybody's point. Like to that situation, like it's interesting. It's shady. It's crazy. It's all over the place. Like, but I think all in all, like I said, just if that's a normal friend group situation, it doesn't go down like that. Not at all.
Because I know, if I remember correctly, I know Doc said like Nickmercs and Tim the Tatman like met Mrs. Assassin and what does he call her? Baby Assassin?
Baby Assassin.
Yeah, Baby Assassin.
He's
yeah,
like,
they met at the gamer convention or some shit.
They met my family. Like, so, like, I mean, if it was a convention or whatever, because I know like they've even golfed together. Like Tim the Tatman, like when they were still good, it's like, oh yeah, like back. I think it was like last summer when Doc put out a video of him going golfing, and then Tim the Tatman puts a reaction.
But that shit was staged though. Like that's what I'm saying, right? Like that kind of stuff. Like that didn't feel legit as far as like real friend type shit.
Which I agree. But then Tim was like, hey man, I've golfed with this guy. Like I know what he can hit. I know what club he would use. And like even Tim was like, he'll hit a 7-iron or whatever. And then on the video, he's like, "Oh yeah, it's like what's the yardage?" They just throw a random number out. Because at least with me, my 7-iron, I can shoot at least 160 if I hit it good.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, like that video you sent to me on Instagram, I can throw every club further than I can hit a ball, bro. No joke.
Get my yardage for 2025. No, hell yeah. But so I can see like at least from if it is fake or not, like at least from how Tim the Tatman was talking about, like I've golfed with this guy or whatnot. Like even if it's like a YouTube like video of them going golfing, like you can only stage so much when you go golf.
Okay, and that's fair, right? And I agree with that. And maybe if you think about it, now that you're talking about it, and I'm thinking about it while you're talking about it, maybe their friendship is real because Tim the Tatman's the only one who hasn't really fucking gone on about the situation. He's kept quiet about it. He said his one piece and he moved the fuck on. Right?
Yeah.
Nickmercs said his piece and said he was going to leave it alone. And then, now they're clapping back or whatever. Z-Laner's clapping back or whatever. So maybe it's the guys who are only friends on stream that are having an issue with it, because they're creating more media for stream. And that kind of makes sense, right? Because like you said, and like I tell you guys, right? If it was some real shit, you tell me, hey, I don't want to fucking talk about this anymore. Like once it's done. All right, bet. We ain't going to fucking talk about it. We're going to hash it out between me and you. You're going to tell me how the fuck what happened. I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen next time it happens, if it happens again. And then that's it. We're going to leave it at that. But I'm going to knock your ass into place if that's some shit that you did. But I'm not going to abandon you by any means, bro. Like, because nobody knows the situation, right? Like, motherfuckers get depressed, bro. They do all kinds of dumb shit. And I mean that respectfully, okay? That's just the way I talk. But respectfully, right? When people get depressed or they get down in the dumps or they're in a bad situation or they have money problems, or they have family problems, they have marital problems, whatever. People make crazy decisions to do dumb things. And you're human. It's going to happen, right? Like you need something to get you out of the gutter in those situations. And maybe that's what happened. We don't know. But if you ever make that decision to do some shit like that, call me first, okay? And be like, Donnie, this is what the fuck's going on, bro. I don't know how to handle this shit. You know what I'm saying? At least reach out. And that's what I'm saying. Like none of that kind of stuff happened, right? Like I don't think any of that happened. Doc heard about it, didn't fucking reach out to his buddies. He just tried to handle it himself, let his lawyers handle it, and just kind of fucking shy away from it. Like on stream, he was like, look, we're not going to talk about this. The lawyers are taking care of all this. It's all yada, 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 yada.
Blah, blah, blah. We can't
talk about it. Legally, I can't say nothing. Like, dude, when you say that, like, yeah, I know that's a thing, but it also like sounds, it like just sounds like an easy out. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And then it comes out that like, no information was released, but it was handled. The situation was handled. Now it sounds like you just paid a motherfucker off to like, not say no more shit.
Hush money.
Yeah. The 2-time, slid a fucking 2-time size check to this chick and was like, keep your mouth fucking shut. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I don't think he's guilty, but I don't think he's innocent, right? Like, if that makes sense, because
right back, boys.
Yeah.
Right, man.
Yep. I'm the same way, man. Like, if you don't show me or prove to me that your situation is not what it is or whatever, like that's not legit, or you're saying that it's not legit and you show me that, then I'll believe you. But until then, like, I don't know, bro. Yeah. Am I going to judge you? No, because I don't judge anybody, right? That's not my job. My job is not to be, judge, juror, whatever. executioner. That's between you and the Lord. Okay, let's be honest. Okay? I may not be, I may not be the most religious person in the world by any means, but I'm not. My job is not to be judgmental of you and decide what you should do or what you shouldn't do. Right? You're gonna have to answer for that kind of stuff at one point in your life, and then you'll know, and that's up to you. So all right, let's shift a little bit. Let's talk about some veteran stuff. So I want to know, I'm gonna shoot to Brian. I want to know what your thoughts are on all these changes that are going on with what is it? So I don't know if it's true. Okay, first of all, let me caveat this, right? Because I don't watch the news. If anybody ever asks, I don't watch the fucking news because the news is full of bullshit. Okay. Where I get my news and information is from guys like you, right? Like Daniel's active duty, Brian's active duty, Jose works every other weekend or whatever for the military, whatever the fuck it is. You know? Whatever it is, right? I don't work for the military no more. Okay. But there's been a lot of shit going on and this is like GS wise, because I think I told you guys my dad still works for the GS system, so he works for the Department of the Navy, right? And there's a lot of stuff like this Elon Musk. I don't know if you guys heard about this email about this is strictly GS shit at this point right here, right? But like this email that went out that was like, what did you do last week? And it was like from Elon Musk to like every GS employee in the fucking system. Like what?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know? So with all that, right? Like, so basically from what I'm understanding is that the goal is to cut the fat. And all of us being in the military know what that means, right? So the goal for that GS and that email traffic or whatever is to cut the fat, right? So basically what they want to do is they want to give jobs back to the people who need those jobs and get rid of the excess in those jobs, which are like having 4 budget guys in a squadron that's, 25 people, right? Like what the fuck you got 4 GS guys doing the budget for? That doesn't make any sense, right? So Brian, how do you feel about that kind of thing? Like, I think the end goal, right, is to give those positions back to the active duty folks and stop having so many GS employees intertwined with the military taking those positions. And if that happens, like, where do you see things going with that?
I saw the email. Well, I didn't get an email, but like I've seen it out just through like social media and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you hear and read all the complaints about people just complaining about like the extra work they have to do by submitting this email. But like a lot of people, are waiting from leadership on if they have to reply to it and whatnot. And I feel like I just saw something today while I was at work before coming on the podcast. Like there was something that was officially sent out by the SecDef about it. So like it's like a real thing now because like it came from somebody of actual like affiliation.
Yeah, I think
So was it a phishing test?
Right.
Yeah, like I think a couple of hours ago, like Tanisha had said something because she works for GS now, right? She retired the Air Force, obviously, and then she works GS now. And she said something about the Secretary of Defense, like there was an email that went out that they have to like on Monday or Tuesday go and sit down and talk about it and then reply all these positions, right? So
yeah, I was seeing like you see the post, right? And you really just automatically go to the comments, right? Because that's where you get all the real information.
Yeah.
Because and some of the people are like, "Who's going to read the 3,100,000 whatever like responses to that?" Like, those things.
That's true.
And then somebody's like, "Yeah, just going to go in Chat GPT and like they're going to pick the certain things out and like,
that's funny, but that's the reality.
I don't know, like. I get the whole cut the fat thing, but like I don't know like the depth of what's supposed to come from it.
Yeah, the reality of it.
Yeah.
I think what it is, or I don't remember where I heard it. I think it was from you, Donnie, or somewhere, that the reason why they're doing this, one of the reasons also is because they want to see who responds. And whoever doesn't respond, then they think it's a fake person or like a fake person working for the military.
Oh, that's interesting. No, that wasn't for me, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that.
I read that somewhere. I don't know where I read that, but I mean, it could be just speculation, right? It can just be somebody fucking blowing steam or whatever. But I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, you send out a mass email, see who responds, and whoever, because right, wasn't Elon Musk was the guy that found that Social Security was still being used by people that were like 180 years old, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's trying to do with this. Like he's trying to see who will respond to the email and who will not, or who will and who will not.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? So Elon Musk has an official position in the Trump administration now. He's basically the guy. Obviously, he's in control of Doge, right? And I mean, for lack of better terms, everybody kind of knows what Doge is. You know, it's what do you call it? What type of currency do you call that?
Crypto.
Cryptocurrency. Yeah. So right, and so he's been tasked loosely. This is a loose explanation of how I understand it. He's basically been tasked by the Trump administration, by President Trump, to go and find ways to get money back to the American people, right? Because Trump's main, we're just going to quote it, right? Trump's main goal is to get rid of income tax for the American people, right? So the end goal by the end of his administration is to abolish income tax, because we're one of the last 2 countries in the world that their citizens pay income tax at the end of every year. Okay. And all these other, like UAE, Dubai, like these successfully rich countries, right? They don't pay any fucking taxes, right? They don't, and they get free healthcare. They get fucking, they get cost of living allowance from their government, and they're trying to figure out like how are they making this kind of money, and how are they sustaining the wealth of the country, right? And it's been done this way for so long. It's going to be a stunning and a hard change to make it happen if it happens. But I don't think you're going to do it in 4 years. I mean, let's just be real, right? Like it's been like this since the fucking early 1900s. You know what I mean?
Maybe 8 years if you would have stayed in another 4, maybe.
Yeah, I don't even know that you make a dent in 4 years, bro. Like,
hell no.
You know, because just like last time. So now maybe if Trump had 8 consecutive years and this was a part of the goal from the last time, then maybe it'd be different, right? But let's look at what happened. For his first term, he wanted to do a bunch of shit. As soon as he was out of office, everybody was like, fuck Trump shit. We're going to do other shit, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to happen this time. You know what I mean? Like they're going to, just let him blow smoke, blah, 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 close the borders, yada, yada, yada. Get all the illegal immigrants out for, 4 years and then put them in Gitmo. And then, on the 5th year, we're just going to release all those motherfuckers back. Like that could happen. I'm not saying that's the way it's going to go, but loosely for some fucking meatheads like us, like, I mean, that's
literally how it goes. I mean,
yeah, that's basically how it's going to go. Right. Like, so I don't know, man. I don't really know if it's going to work, if that's actually a thing, one, and how it work. Cause I'm not that political. I'm like politics up here. I'm like underneath the fucking desk. Like, I don't give a shit about politics. Right. Like I barely vote unless there's somebody worth voting for. I'll be honest with you over the years. But I guess my main question, let me kind of like give some verbiage on my main question to Brian, and then like, throw it to whoever. But in the early days, like even when I was in, and not like I say early days, but like even back when I was in, right? Like I said, like I retired in 16. Like I would go to like, say, what do they used to call it? The CSS, right? Mm-hmm. To get like a decoration from a deployment updated, right? And there was like, I think there was 1 active duty admin person, and there was 3 civilians in there doing the job. Yeah, pretty much doing the same shit, right? Like now we have, or you guys, not me, obviously. Now you guys have like UPCs, which are all civilian positions, right? Because those are GS positions. Now you have commander secretaries who are GS positions, right? But, back in the old days, like you had like executive officers, right? Like lieutenants, like second lieutenants, first lieutenants that were doing those jobs. Those were the commander secretaries. You had, or like a master sergeant was a commander secretary or some shit like that, right? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why we got so GS heavy, like knee deep in the military stuff, right? Like, at what point did we need civilian personnel to come in and manage active duty personnel records? Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. You go first.
No, I was only gonna say that I feel like because retention keeps decreasing because people don't want to stay in because they see these civilian jobs, GS jobs, where they're getting paid a lot more.
Yeah.
So we don't want to stay in.
Okay.
And the same shit.
Right. So that's a good point, right? You're going to get paid
money.
Much more to do the same job on the civilian side. But the fix is the problem, right? Like, creating the job is the problem because you're taking it away from military. And then military folks are going, well, why the fuck am I staying in to do that? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, but people don't look in terms of long money, right? People just want more money now. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that money, and I need it now.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, JG Wentworth, right? Like, yeah. I mean,
cash now.
Yeah, but that's the reality of it, right? Like, if you talk to, and this is just a quick example. If you talk to anybody who owns a home, most people, 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you that they bought the home because their monthly payment was lower, but the house cost $800,000, right? They're not thinking that in 30 years they're going to pay over $1 million for that home. They're just thinking that right now, I'm only going to pay $900 a month to live in this 3,000 square. I don't know where the fuck, wherever that is, I'm moving, but I'm just saying.
Me too.
Right? Like, yeah, pay $900 to live in this fucking, 3,000 square foot house, right? But they're not thinking about long term, right? Like, people don't think about long money anymore. They just think about short money. What can you get now? Like, I'm gonna go and get a new car. Okay. You're gonna fucking your APY or whatever they changed it to. What used to be APR, now APY is gonna be fucking 18%. You're like, okay, but what's my monthly payment? Oh, $320. I can afford that. Yeah, but you're gonna pay fucking $30,000 in interest over 12 years of that fucking loan. Yeah. But people don't care about that. They care about what they have to pay right now. So, anyways, Danny, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
After I think back to so what was your question?
About the positions, right? Yeah, the civilian jobs coming from.
Yeah. So why is there GS positions?
Yeah. Why is there more GS?
Yeah. Why did we go that route? So I think what it is, I think what it is stability. And a perfect example is Jose. How many GS positions is there in your shop?
My shop, I have 0. No,
I thought you had like 3.
My bad. So GS, I was thinking art. So GS positions, we have our TO, or traffic management officer. Yeah. Then we have our person who's in charge of booking everything for like trucks, and then our packer. So, and then the receiver. So we have 4.
Yeah. So I think with that, I think it costs less to have them, even though they get paid more. It costs less than to PCS a new airman the whole time, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair. But then what about the airmen that get sent to your shop that sit around for months because they don't have shit to do?
Well, I mean, they're doing something. Like, I can't really speak.
They're not always filling up a whole day, and I'm not saying every shop is like this. Don't get me wrong, right? But like, there's people who sit around on an 8-hour shift and don't do shit for 6 hours.
Yeah, I mean, Jose, you have a perfect example, right? I mean, you've told me that whenever you come in and have orders, like, they put your ass to work.
Oh, right? Dude, so here's another thing about me. So here's a perfect example. I feel like AGRs and all of that shit comes perfect example for the
weekend warriors always have shit to do because we leave it until they come.
No, that's the thing. That's the thing, or at least in my end now. So
nah, I'm just kidding.
So when I work, if I was to be on orders right now, right, then it's say 30-day orders. Civilians come to find out, oh, hey, Technical Sergeant Cruz is on orders now. I'm sick. So now Sergeant Cruz is there. So civilian Smo, whatever, is sick because, hey, Sergeant Cruz is here. So now I'm sick, so he's gonna handle everything. Or he's not sick, but he's like, hey, you do this and do that and do that, blah 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 blah. And then at first I'm like, okay, well, hey, fuck, the mission has to go on. But then eventually I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, dude, I've been here for 2 weeks. You're over there sitting in your desk, talking on the phone with whoever the fuck you're talking to, trying to spit your game. While I'm over here trying to fucking move 30 pieces of cargo in a day, plus order a truck. And now we have shit coming in from FedEx and UPS. Like what the hell? Like, why are you here then?
That's fair. But in my experience, okay, and Daniel can talk about it, Brian can talk about it too. I don't know if you guys have ANG in your units, right? But we had guard pararescue guys and shit like that would come in, and really all they would have to do is catch up on training, right? Because they've been out of it for so long, right? So that's different. But a typical week, right? Let's say like it's Monday, okay? You sit in commander's briefing or whatever the fuck they call them now, staff meeting or whatever. And first topic of discussion is, hey, it's an ANG weekend this weekend, so we need to fucking make sure that we have XYZ ready for these guys so they have something to do when they get here. And then you set yourself up for that entire week as an active duty member to prepare for the ANG guys to come in and do the work that you pretty much don't want to do, right? For the most part.
And that's usually how it is.
In my experience, that's how I've seen it, right? So really, I mean, we're kind of setting it up that way, and that's obviously none of us on any of our levels can change that, right? But
hell no.
I think that's the culture that it's become nowadays. It's like, oh, okay, we got ANG guys coming or Guard and Reserve guys coming in this weekend. Like, we're going to have them do this so we can fucking finish this next week, or we can finish this week. And then we can push that to the side because it's not that important, but they can knock it out in a day because there's going to be 20 fucking guys here.
Yeah, which is true. Because like, at least like on my side, like, and Daniel has a little bit more experience because he came from my base, which is like a reserve base. Is when it came to drill weekend, before we got new jets or a new jets, I think we only have like two jets right now, and I think only ones are working. Before that, it used to be like, hey, this like, for example, technically it would be tomorrow for me. Is this weekend we have the reserve is coming. Let's go ahead and knock out all the mic caps, which is like high essential shit that has to go right now.
Yeah,
and like priority ones. That's it. Priority 2s and 3s that have to be there within 14, 30 days, whatever. We'll put it all in a box. So by the time we come this weekend, as an example, there was times when we had like 300 pieces. And then they'll come Monday and we were only able to knock out like 100 and something. Let's say 200 pieces and we leave 100. And then we'll get a nasty email as the NCOICs and staff sergeants and shit and saying, hey, what the fuck? Why wasn't this done? All of y'all are here. Why isn't this done? So then it's like, yo, you have to think about it. Yes, we're Guard and Reserve. We're here for the weekend. But you also have to think about now we have to go to appointments because, hey, just because we're weekend warriors, we still have to go to dental. We still have to go to medical for our flu shots. Or, hey, your PHA is due, your MHA is due. So guess what? I have all of that done on Saturday, and maybe even Sunday. Or I have a PT test now, and my PT test is on Sunday. And let's say my PT test is at 6 o'clock in the morning. By the time all that shit is done, it's like, let's say 9. Now I'm gonna go take a shower. By the time I come back, it's lunchtime. Hey, now we're gonna go to lunch. By the time I come back, shit, it's fucking 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock. Yeah. How do you expect me to knock all of this out over the weekend just because we have 10 people in our shop? Like, yes, we have 10 people, but we have appointments.
Why taking 2 hour lunches, Jose?
Hey man, that's a different story, bro. Okay, let's not talk about that one.
They call it BAS for a reason.
Facts. Eat the fucking chow hall. No, I'm just kidding.
We don't have a chow hall. We don't have a chow hall.
Bring a sandwich, bro.
We don't have a chow hall.
You get money to buy food. But so for me, it's different, right? Like now, I think the culture has changed a little bit to kind of like that, to that spectrum of like preparing for Guard and Reserve to come for the weekend, so you can prepare for them to do some of the work that you just either don't want to do or is not as it's just minuscule work or whatever. You kind of push things off to the side. But I mean, the reality of it is back in the day, the Guard and Reserve was sole purposed, right? It was either they were going to go and deploy in place of your unit, or they were going to stay and hold down home station while you deployed, right, and kept your unit afloat. But we get away from that now, obviously, because we're in a peacetime, right? We're not really in a wartime. So that was more kind of like what I was kind of curious about is like, what is the progression of the Guard and Reserve now? Because, you're not going in on a weekend to get ready to deploy in a month. You know what I mean? You're going in on a weekend to get ready for the next weekend. You're coming back in. You know what I mean?
Which is true, because let's say if I was to get tasked to deploy, let's say I go to drill this weekend and say, hey, Sergeant Cruz, you're deploying, you deploy come April. So if that happens, they activate me. They put me on orders for a week or 2 weeks. Hey, for this week, 2 weeks, this first week, all your medical shit's gonna get done. Shots, if you have to get shots. Let's say I'm done by Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, hey, now Thursday, Friday, you're gonna go shoot. You're gonna go if you're gonna have to carry both guns. But hey, Thursday you're gonna shoot your M9 or M18, since we switched out of the fucking Berettas, and then Friday you're gonna go shoot your M4. So so like even like that, we still get activated. But fuck, what was I gonna
You're
go
shoot
with
M18s now?
Yeah, because we have the what's
the 6 hour defense contract, right?
6 hour,
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So that's what we get now. So I forgot what I was going with all of that, because I know you had asked something. And the whole peacetime thing. So now I remember talking to you like, hey, I had like Daniel and Brian, I've heard about this. So I was supposed to hear more about it this weekend, but I'm not going because my kid's birthday and I have some other shit I want to handle here at home. But they're switching everything around now to where it's going to be everybody deploying no matter what, Guard, Reserve, whatever, and civilians are going to hold it down. That's at least how it is going to be in my base, because we have so many goddamn civilians. So it's like, if you're an AGR, guess what? Too fucking bad. Now you are going to be a active duty guy, or you're going to be a reserve in this case, or Guard, and you're going to deploy with your shop, because it's that bucket of your shop, and the civilians that you have that are strictly civilians are staying here, and they're going to handle that, because now we don't have to worry about because like you said, we're so heavy with civilians, which is true, because in my building, you see people in uniform, which is what we call AGR, active guard reservists, which they're trying to get away with as well. They're trying to get rid of that because they're like, well, hey, they're trying to say the same thing. It's like, well, we have too many AGRs. Why not just go to active duty, or just stay in the reserves, or just give it to the civilians? So, and it sucks because as a civilian side as well, it's all unionized. So then you have all these unions fighting, saying, oh, well, no, these people need sick time, and these people need to be here for this reason because John Smo fucking flew an active bomb to fucking Louisiana, and now he is not compatible. So we should get people that are civilians that have been here for years that are retired but want to continue on doing this instead because they're more reliable and shit like that. So now they're trying to get away from all of that and say, no, we have a lot of airmen that are just fucking sitting around, or soldiers, whatever, just sitting around, because we have all the civilians, and like by the time they deploy is like, what do you know? Oh, I don't know shit. So now it's my job, because I've had that when I've deployed, man. I had a staff sergeant under me come in, and I was like, hey, what do you know about inbound? Because my job is logistics. I receive cargo, I let cargo out, I get cargo out. And I worked inbound cargo. What do you know about inbound? I don't know shit. How long have you been in? At that time, he was like 12 years. So now it's my job, while we're deployed, to fucking, hey,
but
Guard and Reserve and everything.
Right, but Guard and Reserve gets specified training. Well, back in the day.
Oh, no, that's the thing, though. It's not even Guard and Reserve. This guy was active duty.
No, I know. I'm saying, so the reason why back in the day, like in a deployed location, you would always talk to the Guard and Reserve guy more, because they get specified training on how to handle exactly what the fuck they're going to be doing, right? Active duty guys go through 30 different fucking trainings before they go downrange, and then they don't even end up doing their own fucking job.
Oh yeah, that was me, dude. So I went to custom
in the regular Air Force, like
I went to learn how to do custom. I never did it. At the end of the day, it worked out for me because I did the custom for my people. So when I came back home and we went through customs, it was already stamped, and they're like, how the fuck do y'all have this? Like the Army guys. It's like, well, we have our own custom guys. It's like, nah, that doesn't count. And I'm like, no, fuck that. It counts. I went to school for this shit. I am certified customs guy. I have my stamp of approval on there. Although we kind of did some shady shit, but that's besides the point. Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
So, but it's like, so which is true. Like, if I get tasked today saying, "Hey, Sergeant Cruz, you're deploying fucking Afghanistan, whatever. Your job is going to do either inbound or outbound, but we're going to send you to school for both of them. So you're going to learn how to ship out or receive inbound cargo, how to ship out blue bark, which we call like basically human remains, like whenever somebody is KIA or whatever.
Yeah,
which is true. So yes, but still, man, like if you've been in for fucking 10 years,
I mean, you should know something.
Exactly.
Absolutely, you're right. I agree, right? And that's another fault for another fucking podcast, right? Of the military period, right? Because we can talk about that kind of shit all day. Like going through Kyrgyzstan back in the day, right? Bro, it's fucking LRS and like FSS folks, right? Doing TCN duty. What? But you got an entire cop squadron deployed to that unit or to that location. Like I'm talking about 125 personnel cop squadron, both active duty, guard, and reserve, all in that location, and none of them are doing TCN duty. There's 4 guys driving around in a truck checking on TCNs on the base. Like that doesn't make any sense. Why am I going to send somebody who works fucking finance for 12 years to a 35-day training at Fort Benning to learn how to be a fucking hold a gun and watch a guy do work? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would you not send somebody who is weapons qualified throughout their entire career to maintain and monitor third country nationals? Dumb, right? But that's the kind of shit that happens, right? What did we do to alleviate that problem in the active duty Air Force? We created the United States Space Force. Okay, and this is no shit. No, I'm not shitting on anybody in the Space Force. Okay, but what we did was we took a space command from the Air Force and we said everybody in U.S. Space Command is going to just flop over and create this thing called the United States Space Force, right? It happened prior to the announcement. Everybody, all like Peterson, all of them became Space Command bases and blah, 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 right? So the entire space program shifted, right? Because we wanted to get rid of those jobs in the Air Force. Why? For what? We've had those jobs for who knows how long, right? What was the point of creating a whole nother service? But it's like Daniel said, right? And I get what your point was earlier, Daniel, when you're talking about why we hire civilians and why they do the certain jobs they do for continuity purposes, obviously, right? You want longevity and you want continuity. And I get that. But at what point do we draw the line? Because that's what happened with the space command thing. All we did was take the space command thing, rip their fucking name tapes off, and then put our old name tapes on that said U.S. Space Command, because now they're multicam in blue, like the Air Force was when multicams came out. Yeah. And then we went to Afghanistan and the Army was fucking brown. So the Air Force was like, oh, we'll just be gold. We'll just change everything, right? So all of our fucking shit changed to gold. Dude, let me tell you, bro.
It's this brown, bro.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever. First of all, when all that shit happened when I was downrange, bro, I had 4 different fucking uniform changes while deployed.
I bet.
Like, what?
That must have sucked, dude.
Dude, I'm telling you, pallets. Like, we had pallets of uniforms because the Air Force back home was going through the phase change for uniforms, right? Like, I don't even know if you guys ever remember seeing the blue tiger stripe. It was like dark blue, Carolina blue, and like a gray, and it was a tiger stripe pattern. It was lateral. It was not vertical. It was the ugliest fucking dude. Everybody looked like blue Smurfs, right? And so they did it for a year, and there was like, I think it was 10% of the United States Air Force spread over every base, right? Were given these uniforms to wear out. And every time you saw them, they were supposed to stop you, and you're supposed to go, what do you think of the uniform? And you fill out this little fucking form, and you go, how do you feel about this uniform? What do you think it's going to be? This is the direction the Air Force is going. How do you feel that this is going to look? Does this look Air Force? Does this look blah, 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 blah? Like, you look like a Smurf. That's what I put on every fucking one. I say, you look like a Smurf. That shit is too blue. It doesn't make any sense, right? And the concept was because we're the Air Force, and we work in the sky. I said 99% of the Air Force works on the fucking ground, okay? 10% of the Air Force works in the sky. 10%. 90% work on the ground. But 60% of the fucking 90 that work on the ground make sure that those 10% can be in the air. That's the difference, right? And we didn't focus on that. And that was the problem. And I think the Air Force has always had an identity problem amongst the military. And I think that's why, and this is how we're going to end it, but I think that's why the Air Force bought into United States Space Force. It's like, okay, let's send all these cyber, because, you know, I don't know when you came in, but when I came in boot camp, all these motherfuckers were talking about cyber superiority and something, like they'd yell all this shit throughout the base, right? Like air superiority, cyber superiority, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Right? Like
hack the planet.
Yeah, like as a new young kid, right? And you hear them talking about like cybersecurity and stuff like that. Like it was a new concept back in that time, right? But
yeah,
it became a thing for a while. But I honestly, I never thought that I would see the day where a new military service would be created. Like I thought it was gonna be cool, and then it was a space command. I was like, or Space Force. I was like, oh. I don't know if you guys remember all the memes that came out about that shit, but
they made a show about it. Steve
Bro,
Carell
yeah,
was
Netflix.
Oh, that
actually
shit on
a really funny
Netflix.
show.
Yeah, that shit on Netflix was hilarious, bro. But there were so many memes floating around the Air Force just about like, oh, we're gonna look like guys from Star Trek and shit like that, right? And just, you know, and then like I said, I told them, Brian, before you got off of work and jumped on, like I actually saw my first legitimate Space Force only commercial. But I will tell you this, I didn't tell you guys this. At the end of it, it didn't say Space Force. It said U.S. military across the fucking screen. It didn't even say United States Space Force, bro. But the whole time, it's a shot of this captain at like a launch room, right? Big screen, like watching the shuttle, and then she's on the fucking, you know, the desk or whatever, working whatever she's doing. But in the shot, you know, it's all you can see is her name tape that says United States Space Command or United States Space Force, right? Yeah. And I was like, is this a Space Force commercial? Like, what? You know what I mean? And then it cuts to like her as like a girl, and she's like on the patio looking through a telescope, staring at the stars. And I was like,
I've seen that.
That's an Air Force commercial.
I've seen that.
That cheesy shit is an Air Force commercial, bro. Like, come on, bro. But yeah, so I don't know. Right now, I don't really see the effectiveness of the Space Force. I'm not saying that they're purposeful or not. I mean, we got out of the space game 30 years ago. Like, as a country, we got out of the space game 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Somebody launches one, because Elon Musk has enough money to launch one fucking shuttle into space. Like, now we got to create a whole service. I don't know, man. I think this guy's taking over the world, but we're going to talk about that on another podcast. So anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. See you on the next one.
Till next time.
Peace.
Laters.